So Honkai Star Rail is a pretty controversial game with a very chaotic community, to say the least. Yet there are times where the entire community will actively band together to create the perfect storm of chaos, and these past 2 weeks have indeed been quite chaotic for the Reddit user Lunch1563, who decided to start a small funny community Reddit project with the title Reddit Creates the Perfect HSR Character, where each day people could comment on one aspect of the character, and the most upvoted one would win for that slot. It's a pretty simple concept where you can end up with some crazy end results. So what exactly happened? Well, day 1 was the simple choosing element day, and to be honest, the post did not really get that much traction. However, one redditor by the name of Lost State decided to completely ruin this project right as of day 1 by making a little joke. Perfect! So we are just making the Herta, right? In that case, ice. This comment would later get over 500 upvotes, with Lost State editing their comments and saying, my bad. Day 2 would already get way more traction, and at this point, people just really like the idea of the end result just being Herta without any changes. With one of the top comments saying, why do I feel like this is going to be just Herta? And the most upvoted comment being, it would be funny if we just made Herta. Erudition. Day 3 would get even more traction, with the original poster adding brackets to the description begging, please don't just make Madam Herta, and proceeding to talk about how you could use quite a lot of good basic attack options, like ones with enhanced attacks. However, as we can see in the comments, this did not work well. OP puts perfect in the title. Everyone, Madam Herta is a peerless gem. Honestly, what did you expect? No escape, OP, Herta is coming. I can already see people are gonna make Herta. As well as the most upvoted one, Madam Herta is a peerless gem. Madam Herta is an unrivaled genius. Madam Herta is an inimitable beauty. Deal size damage equal to 50% of the character's attack to one designated enemy target. Day 4 would get even more traction, as people were really loving the idea of just creating Herta. OP still tried to argue for the skill here, explaining that Herta's skill is really bad since it's tied to her ult and passive, meaning that you would essentially need to just create Herta for this to be good. At this point, just post the full image using the Herta for everything else. Nobody else is gonna get chosen. I'm clinging on to the hope that someone will come from beyond to save this project. OP, just let it happen. And of course, skill, hear me out. Consumes 1 stack of inspiration, DLC damage to blah blah blah, it's the Herta skill, it's the Herta skill. As well as millions of others either posting the Kurukuru meme or just spamming Herta copy pastas and making jokes about how perfect Herta is. Day 5 was the ultimate, and OP was dead set on trying to save this project, so they tried bargaining. Okay, I didn't really plan on doing this, but I have a proposal. If you were to choose Finon's ultimate, I will let you have 2 skills. This includes a permanently enhanced hear me out, as well as another skill of your choice, enhanced or not. Maybe you can have the mini Herta or a Naxa skill. Tempting, isn't it? OP, I appreciate your efforts, but let's be real. Herta's ult is gonna win either way. The joke is hilarious, but at the same time, I feel bad for OP. How boring. It's so pathetic that this community turned what could have been a fun thought experiment into one big stupid joke. Though to be fair, that's kind of a microcosm of Honkai Star Rail as a whole, isn't it? A huge swirling pot of wondrous ideas and creativity that only ever puts out slop. The game that could, but never will. It makes me sick. Anyway, I vote for the Herta ultimate, please. Told ya. Magic happens. Day 6 was the talent, and at this point, this community project went from just 150 upvotes to over 5,000. And OP basically giving up, saying, you know what guys, just do it. I'm powerless to stop you. And I don't even know how many people read this description anyway. At this point, the comments were also basically just filled with Herta memes and copypastas, and it was basically impossible to stop Herta. She basically held the entire project at gunpoint. They did it. They finally broke him. They finally won. They destroyed someone. Someone who was always happy, who was always smiling, someone who didn't deserve the hatred. Someone who did nothing but help others. Someone who loved with all his heart. They finally did it. I vote to hand them over. So who would have guessed Herta passive won? Duh. The technique was an X, and while OP continued their fight trying to change the destiny of this project while everyone else was just spamming memes and talking about how funny and perfect Herta is. Funnily enough, Herta's technique is really good actually, as it one-shots mobs in simulated universe while also helping you with chest finding in the overworld, but let's be real, people did not want Herta's technique because of how good it actually was here. Moving forward, only the major traces were left, and the engagement also kinda went down from here. OP was pretty done at this point, and many people did not care anymore about this project because they kinda already knew what character trace was going to win. There were still some genuinely funny comments, however, like these two guys coming strategically to the conclusion that Herta is the best trace here. So I'm thinking that Aloofy Honest is probably the best A2 trait here. It gives energy for each enemy hit and increases ice damage if you are using an enhanced skill. Ah, indeed. Sounds perfect for an ice erudition character with an enhanced skill. Excellent choice. This continued onward with OP stating on day 9, "Alright, let me break the fourth wall for a bit. The peak of the joke has passed and less people have been commenting. At this point, the only thing that could possibly be unexpected about this project would be the character model being anyone other than the Herta. I know that the only reason some of you are all still here is because of these little blurbs I write here, but I'm quickly running out of things to say. This isn't to say that I'm quitting the project now, not when it's this deep and that some people, including me, still want to see it to the end. I'll say it right here that I plan on making a second place image when this ends in a few days, as well as restart the project with rules to prevent the same thing from happening again. I know that it probably won't get as much attention as this series, but I hope that it doesn't go into complete obscurity like my other posts. From here on, the brain rot would basically continue, OP was done, until we finally hit day 11. The community basically collectively recreated the entirety of Madame Herta's kit, and now all that was left was the character model, which resulted in more memes than ever, because how funny would it be if it was the entire Herta kit, only for the model itself to not be the Herta. Weird votes like fucking Kasane Teto, but also stuff like Ligas, for example. A lot of people also wanted Mini Herta as well as the Big Head Herta, and we also had fucking Dr. Eggman. There was also Screwlim as a big contender, and of course, who would have guessed, Madame Herta. And we also had another vote, who managed to get more upvotes than the entire post itself with 9.1k upvotes. And that was fucking Sparkle. This basically marked the end of this community project, with the perfect HSR character having the Herta's kit and Sparkle as its model. The comments were just full of elation memes at this point, and with that, the project was over. OP also showed us the second place, and Jesus fucking Christ, what is this abomination? OP has now started a new project, which is Reddit creates an imperfect character, where you cannot choose the same character more than once, but it's pretty clear to everyone that it probably will not reach the heights it did as the original posts that were held by Herta at gunpoint. So, with all of this mess of a community project, what exactly did we learn about Honkai Star Rail and the entirety of the Honkai Star Rail community? Well, it's pretty obvious in my opinion. Madame Herta is a peerless gem, Madame Herta is an unrivaled genius, and Madame Herta is an intimatable beauty. Subscribe for more.